Order. Question number 12. Dr Megan Woods.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Prime Minister. Was he acting in his capacity as Prime Minister during the 14 February 2014 press conference when he confirmed to journalists that he speaks to Cameron Slater every so often, including that same week when they discussed Mr Kim Dotcom briefly?
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, no. I spoke to Cameron Slater in my capacity as Leader of the National Party, and therefore questions from the media about the conversation were answered in that same capacity. By way of clarification, Mr Speaker, earlier this year, I was frequently asked at my press conferences whether the National Party would reach an electoral accommodation with other political parties. As would be obvious to the member, I responded to questions as Leader of the National Party. There have also been other examples. When I was asked to comment about Max's selfies or Steffi's penchant for photos covered mostly in sushi or the health of Moonbeam the cat, I do that in my capacity as father.
Supplementary question.
Supplementary question. Dr Megan Woods.
How can he say that he was not acting as Prime Minister at that press conference when he directly referred to myself as Prime Minister, had a ministerial staffer standing behind him recording the proceedings and was answering questions from journalists that related to his prime ministerial responsibilities?
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, because as the member should well and truly know, I wear several hats and I answer questions in press conferences for several reasons. As I just pointed out to the member, quite often I answer questions which I have no ministerial responsibility because I'm acting as Leader of the National Party.
Supplementary question.
Point of order.
Oh, point of order. Dr Megan Woods.
Mr Speaker, I seek leave to table a screenshot of the Prime Ministerial stand-up with a Prime Ministerial staff.
That is just an... Order. Member will resume his seat. The member is just now abusing the privilege of seeking leave to table a document. Order.
Supplementary question.
Order. Supplementary question, Dr Megan.
I can't hear a damn thing, Mr Speaker.
Order.
Whether you can.
Order. Point of order from the Right Honourable Winston.
As an evidentiary matter, frequently a photograph has been used to be compelling proof of some event. It's happened in many court cases and many events. Much of it's been televised, and I want to know what the distinction is that a photograph like that, which could be so important in some cases...
Order. The member will resume his seat.
Now.
The member will resume his seat straight away. Straight away. I'd only, within the last 10 or 15 minutes, given an explanation to why people seek the ability to table a document. It's to inform the House. It's not to make a political point, and a shot of the Prime Minister at a press conference does nothing to give further useful information to this House, and I will not put the leave, and I will not see the system further abused by a member. I was very tempted to cease the question there and then. On this occasion, I'll give the member the benefit of the doubt and allow her to complete her questions. Dr Megan Woods.
How was the information that he said he had confirmed by a member of the public regarding Kim Dotcom transferred from himself as party leader to himself as Prime Minister when he referred to it in Parliament as Prime Minister on the 12th of February 2014?
The cat.
Mr Speaker.
Order. Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Someone told me, and Mr Speaker, I actually do have some sympathy. I actually do have some sympathy for Megan Woods. She is holding up the picture of a leader of her party, of a party, but that's because she's desperate for her party to have a leader.
Order. That won't help the order of the House. Supplementary question, Dr Megan Woods.
When he told journalists on the 14th of February 2014 in his capacity as Prime Minister that a member of the public, for want of a better term, rang me up and said what was the case, was Cameron Slater that member of the public?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, that information was in my capacity as Leader of the National Party.
Supplementary question, Dr Megan Woods.
If he is the Prime Minister and confirms information using taxpayer resources, which he then refers to in the House as Prime Minister, how is that not in his ministerial capacity?
Right Honourable Prime
Mr
Minister.
Speaker, the member should email Helen Clark at undp.com.
Supplementary question.
Supplementary question, Dr Megan Woods.
Thank you. When he has received information from Cameron Slater, has he ever asked any of his taxpayer-funded staff to follow up on information passed to him by Cameron Slater?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, no.
Order. Order. That concludes questions for oral answer. I've received a